Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to finish this lovely Christine Karron page. She's a big favourite of mine. This is a page from Fairy and Fantasy 2 by Christine Karron, and this is the, what's it called? While Sunflowers Bloom page, and I've been working on this lady. I'm nearly complete. And as a part of the new video series I'm going to add to the channel, I asked you guys how you felt about colouring specific items, so we could build up a playlist of actual specific colouring items, so that if you're colouring something you can go in the playlist, look it up. So like a how I colour certain things, sort of a how to, kind of, just to give you ideas of things. So I thought we'd start with how I colour a sunflower, and then we'll work from there. Seems like an easy place to start. I'm using Pablo pencils. As always, doesn't matter which book you're in, it doesn't matter which pencils you want to use, it only really matters on your finding as close a match as you can, your colouring style, adapting it to the way that I colour, and of course to the paper that you're using. Certain pencils will work better. I have in the Pablos, and I will write these down below in the video description, Vandyke brown 045, so you just want a deeper brown. I've got this kind of reddish pinkish brown, which is brownish orange 043. This ochre colour, which is, yep, light ochre 032. I've got a brighter yellow, which is yellow 010, and then a cream, which is cream 491. And they will make up my 5 parts for my sunflower. I am a layering kind of colourist, sort of. I do a bit of layering, a bit of cheating, for when I can't be bothered, and also because I do work in colouring books. I know a lot of people, you know, they ask and they mention like, oh, why don't you print it on better paper? But for most of us, we are colourists. This isn't an artwork that I'm going to frame or put anywhere. I enjoy having my work in my colouring books, and I feel like a lot of people that watch my videos, we are more, you know, just enthusiasts of the colouring hobby, and of course we colour in colouring books, so there's no point me showing you all these things and how to do them if it's going to be on completely different paper to what you were working on. If you were sat here with this book, with my pencils, you know, you're not going to get the same effect, and you're going to get very frustrated, and it's just not fair. So we colour from the book. These new Christine Karron books have that slightly nicer Amazon paper, which I'm still working on finding pencils that like it, to be honest. It's not always the easiest, but it's just finding the right medium eventually. So I'm going to stop waffling, we're going to start. So how I colour a sunflower. I'm not from an artist background. I do not start with my light colour first, usually, depends on my pencils. So I'm going in with that darker colour, the Vandyke brown, and I'm just creating my bottom edges. As always, one harsher line to the edge, and then I will blend and feather that out so that my next colour will blend into it. You must be so sick of me saying that by now, but you never know when someone new might watch. And I'm also going to pop just a little bit in the bottom edge and just in this shadowy area. Christine Karron pages are lightly grayscaled, so what that essentially means is they're nice and easy. The work quite a bit of the work is done for you. Removes the guessing from it. So that is my base colour. I'm then going to move into this brownish orange, and I'm going to build that up and out a little bit from that brown. No harsh lines now, we're just very gently laying colour onto the paper. This stuff will not take many layers, so we're not laying too much colour down, and I don't want the leaves to be brown. You've got to find your balance. I want some shade and some tone and some, you know, to make it look like it's got folds and it's not a flat object, but I don't want my leaves to be, my petals to look really brown, so we need to be careful how much of this we do, how far we bring that in, a little bit. We're then going to the light ochre colour, so we're getting a little bit yellow now, but we've still got that bit of brown to it, so that it's a transition for me between the brown and the yellow of the sunflower itself. Warning, I do add more brown into my sunflowers than a lot of people would. I like the depth that it gives. No bright sunflowers here, people, I'm sorry, you'll have to find another video. Little circles. I am going over those browns and then just bringing it in again a little bit further. Like I said, got to be careful, it's not going to let you do too many layers over the top. I've had some nightmares with this paper, don't even. And then yellow, and that's going to give us that sunflower burst. Look at that beautiful bright yellow. So we're being careful because we don't want to look like, I don't know, can a sunflower look clownish? I don't know. We don't want to look too yellow. I don't know. You know what I mean. So again, I'm just bringing that over the top. I'm going to bring that in a little bit and just leave a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white page in the middle. And then we're going to go over with our cream just to give it that highlight in the middle, that illusion that that is the highest point of that object, and then come back in with that what is it, light ochre, just to deepen some of that yellow, merge into some of that brown. And yes, I do one petal at a time. These kind of, if you want it to be more detailed, you want every single petal to look original and different, it's better not to mass produce. Spend the time, add the colours, and then move on. It always looks really weird when you've got a couple, but as you add more petals in, you will gain, it'll start to look better, I promise. I promise it will look better eventually. So obviously for these pieces underneath, to make something look like it's underneath everything else, you need to add a little bit of shadow. You could use a grey for this. I mean, you can use a black. The thing, of course, with, you've got to be careful with grey and yellow. So I prefer to stick with the darker colour and just add more of it in a harsher line so that it just looks like a shadow. It will give the same effect. And we're just working our way up the colours again, so we are then brownish orange. I should really, this I spent a lot of time on this. I don't want to smudge it. I'm going to put my weird glove on. Don't laugh. Things we do. Next colour in, and just bring that further in. Don't worry about the fact that there's not going to be a lot of yellow to this petal. It's fine. Again with our light ochre over the top, and just keep bringing it out. And then our yellow. For this one, I'll probably leave that tiny white edge and just give it a cream edge. A little bit of a variance. Just blend in that harsh little patch we've got. And you can see I'm not putting too many, I'm not really adding too much of a layer to this page. It's not going to let you do it. I've spent a long time on this. I've done my best. Skin isn't my forte, but I was going to correct it, but then decided, does anyone watch, like when you watch TikTok and you see those awful videos of people doing their concealer in that ridiculous, like they like almost wipe it on across the top and then just leave it, they don't even blend it in, and they expect people to believe that they walk around like that all day. This is what you look like, people. Although hers is even slightly blended at least, but yeah, I managed to TikTok concealer eyebrows by accident, and now it makes me laugh, so I'm going to leave it. Pretend it wasn't the mistake that it was. Okay, so obviously it's a pretty boring kind of thing from there. We'll do one more together. The darkest Vandyke brown in from the bottom. I do want you to give them those folds back in. So then we'll just, almost a harsh line, but only gently. We'll pop a little bit of shadow in here because it's behind the other object. Same in here. And then this petal, she's drawn it like it curves in on itself. So I'm going to pop a line in here and then just blend that in and out and give some depth to the middle section of that petal. A little bit here, because I feel like these curl up but this curls down. We'll go to our next colour again. Well, I should know the names by now. Brownish orange, and again we're gonna work that inwards. They do have some beautiful colours, Caran D'ache, they really do. I've been working with the luminance that I got quite a bit. This is luminance, and this green is luminance. Her lips and the eyes are luminance. Hair, of course, is polychromos, because, well, I just default to that, I think. Need to try out what Corey's been doing and start challenging myself to do loads of different hair sets with different pencils and see if I can find things I like. So again, we're just working that in from that darker brown, just extending inwards. You're always just extending in from your darkness, just to make it nice and easy. Work your way inwards. That light ochre, you will notice if I was doing hair, I have a short point. When I'm doing something like this, I've actually given, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, I'm sorry guys, can you see that there? Just, it's got this angle on the tip, so I've actually worn a groove into my pencil, and whenever I put my pencil back down, I kind of pop it back into that angle, so I'm not colouring with the point of a pencil, I'm colouring almost with the side of a pencil, and that gives you that soft lay down that you can just curl into the page. Without giving you lines. Now don't get me wrong, if lines is your technique, then do it that way. I'm just showing you how I do. I've just watched Laurie from Colour My World do a tutorial on a beginner grayscale page. She had a Rachel Mintz page she was doing. She teaches you how to work with grayscale, and obviously my page is never going to look like hers. Her work is amazing, but she of course teaches you from a very technical standpoint, which is really nice. Having said that, I then came on here and still I don't know, still coloured my petal the same as I always would, but it's just very interesting. So I mean, if you want to see grayscale used to a kind of a photo realistic point of view, you should check it out. It's amazing. That is not really what you're going to get here. You've got to have some patience for her beautiful technique. So the cream, that was the yellow, I don't know if I said, but yes, so interesting to watch. Fabulous. I'll stick to my easy version and just watch the talented people while I colour. We'll do that. So I want to go back in, and I am going to, don't forget, very carefully layer that up a little bit. Once this paper decides it's had enough, it'll make a mess. So we've got to be very careful. End up in a sticky situation otherwise. And by taking every petal as it comes and just completing one before you work into the next, they'll all look unique and different and interesting. And like I say, once you get them all in there together, it will create the effect you're looking for. I will come back in at the end and show you them all done. I think we'll do this one for a different kind of an angle, and then I'm going to show you how I do the middle before just kind of skipping to a finished sunflower. So obviously in your head, think of this as a C shape. That is the way that this petal will curl up and back down, and that is where you need to decide where your light's coming from. Obviously she has this lovely glow to her. She's quite backlit in a way. The lighting doesn't quite make sense completely. I haven't gone for a completely realistic life, so I'm just going to kind of go with, you know, this here would be sun from the front. That'll do, and make sure that is my lighter aspect. So she's actually created this petal almost like it's curving inwards to the middle. So that's the way we will follow it. So with our darker brown, I'm going to pop the depth into the middle, nice and lightly, and feather it out. So we're kind of creating a little ditch in the middle of that sunflower, and you'll see it'll already start to look like the edges are more bulbous and raised. And I'm just going to add a little bit of depth here, almost like that sunflower's curling over on itself. And I think I'll pop a little bit just in here. We'll build that up a little. Just thickening out that brown now and blending it off into nothing. Lots of tiny circles go on. Lots and lots. Next colour, we're back to that brownish orange. And we're working that over the top and inwards. Going around the edge of this side, it's almost like that's curling back around on itself. And then with a light ochre, tiny circles over the top, bringing that a little bit further out. These sides aren't really going to have a lot of highlight because they would be almost tucked under. And we're just always expanding, just working that new colour out a little bit further so we get lighter and lighter. And then we go to our crazy yellow. I'm going to pop that around these edges. To leave a little bit in the middle of this that I'm going to make very pale. And then our cream, just in here and here. And I do use my paler colours to blend, so you can always pop that over the top if you feel like you've got harsh lines. I again want to bring in that darker brown just to add a little bit of depth back in. I almost always, should never say always to anything, should you, but almost always I will go back in with my darker colours, and that's how I stop from kind of losing the depth of my pictures by losing the darkness underneath those other tones. That is that. We'll do the middle. I'm going to take my what are we, you guys will know, Vandyke brown 045, and I do these in little circles, starting the darker patches. So we've got a bit of depth in here where this is like a longer stalks, and in here where we're in shadow, little circles. I'm putting a bit of pressure on with these, almost like we're adding pointillism in to the page. I'm not going to go crazy with, you know, being precise and careful. Now I just want to add less and less, so we're decreasing that depth. Pop a little bit where the darker shading is in here. Everything looks horrendous until you are finished. Make that your general rule and you'll be much happier with your colouring. So this brownish orange, again, I'm going to add quite a bit of that because it's still quite a deep colour, into the darker parts of my sunflower. Just little circles. I'm actually putting quite a bit of pressure on, not messing around with these. Same again, just building it up without now into this light ochre. I know I say too much. It's a habit that's not going to disappear, I'm afraid. I'm just going to pop a point on that. Probably. I'm just going to knock a bit of that point off. It'll only break. And same again. Little circles. Quite a bit of pressure. We're into the more medium to pale colours now. Getting a bit more yellow. So I am still going to work that into the darker patches to fill that in. But I am bringing that in a little bit more into those other areas now. Hope I explain these things okay for you guys. And disclaimer, this is never ever me telling you guys how you should colour, proper colouring technique, because I don't know it. I just colour for fun and to relax, and I share this with you guys because, well, you watch them, so it's your own fault. And I just enjoy the hobby and the community. You do these things however you want, and if you find easier techniques through these, then I'm very pleased, but this is not a professional sunflower. We're going to go to the yellow. Now be careful, it's a pale colour, but this is a bright one, so we don't want to make the whole thing happy yellow. So we're still not coming in too much with that. And by adding all these little bubbles, we'll call them bubbles, it just gives some texture. Right, so now we need to decide like how much more dark we need. Add some dark. them over the top, thicken out the dark patches that we started with, maybe build that in. Back to the brownish orange, and again. I'm working on I'm covering quite a lot of the white space, but I'm not particularly bothered if there's some left because we still have our cream colour that we can add in yet. The light ochre, that more muted browny yellow, let's add a bit of that into the middle, I think. And then we'll take our cream. Be careful because, well, you might decide that you wish you'd put more dots in, and you don't want to merge everything, but I am, if you've noticed, going lightly over all those colours. It just softens those individual dots a little bit. The Pablos will move a tiny little bit. And the cream will cover the last of our spaces. Again, I'm putting a bit more pressure to this. I won't be laying this up for days. And then when you have a little look, if you want it a bit more yellow, a bit more brown, a bit more brownish orange, I don't know, you can add a bit in to some extent. And that is the centre of your sunflower. So I'm going to go away because it took me a ridiculous amount of time just to do that little tiny bit. I will finish that flower and then I will bring that in at the end for you so you can see it. Okay, so here is the update with the finished sunflower. I've zoomed you out a little bit so that you can see it as part of the picture, and then we'll zoom back in again. So like I showed you, I've just really have repeated my pattern all the way around, trying to make each petal unique and yet still match the others. I'm pleased with the way it's turned out. You could, if you want it to look a bit more intense, white gel pen outline your flower. Obviously with the kind of page I've done here, I haven't opted for that because I didn't want that kind of stark look to it, but for some pages that does go really nicely. So I hope you found this useful or interesting or amazingly both. And as always guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos, and please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I'm going to try and get a few more colouring videos up at the moment to really if you can hear that weird noise in the background, that is my dog chewing his bone, so glad that he came upstairs to do that. Really try and get some more colouring content on the channel. You know, it is a colouring channel. We try. And yeah, that is it. I'm really pleased with how she's turning out. It's taken me a while, but I am getting there. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I'm improving. That's all we can do. You just got to keep practicing. These grayscale pages really do help with that considerably. I know some people freak out with them, but it actually simplifies your page for you. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. See you in the next video.